Traveling the Vortex.
We've joined the Doctor as he travels the Vortex and arrive at episode number 350, brought to you by listeners like yourself. I'm Keith.
I'm Sean.
I'm Glenn.
How are you guys?
I'm ready to do a pledge show.
Pledge show.
Pledge show.
Did you guys have a good week?
Not bad.
Had an okay week.
Yeah.
Do anything fun?
No. I started my October movie challenge, which a friend of ours posted. I think you got tagged in it too. Adam posted a 30 days of horror films challenge for October.
Oh, that started today, didn't it?
And so I started mine today, and I probably won't stick with it. I'll probably end up bailing out on it or forgetting today and then getting behind, getting frustrated and not doing it. But I'm going to try. I'm challenging myself to see if I can do it.
And the 5-ish Fangirls 31 Days of Halloween
has started as well, which is their photo challenge. And you post a photo a day on a Doctor Who related topic, and you can find all of those topics at either the 5-ish Fangirls website, or you can go to not Brittany. Is it Brittany? Brittany's website that has it?
I think so.
Geeky
Usually.
Girl Without a Box.
Also, you could scroll down on this Facebook feed if you're watching live.
Yeah, just go to Facebook and if you click on it, it's on our feed. We have a link
or
to
just
it
look
on
up
our
the
page.
hashtag 31 Days of Halloween.
I will put a link in the show notes.
There we go, that too.
Easy enough. Did you guys do anything this week?
We watched Broadchurch Season 3.
Well, you're just mowing through that.
Oh, that's it now. We're done. That's all of Broadchurch. Season 3 was not as good as either previous season.
Really?
Kind of a
Yeah.
Gradual.
Season 2 was, I think, way better than Season 3.
Huh. That's what a lot of people disagree and say the third season was a much better season than 2.
And part of why both Sarah and I didn't like Season 3 as much is there's a whole lot of new characters, and we like the other characters so much that it's kind of like, oh, I don't care about these new people. Show me the characters I have grown.
The ones you've already invested in.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not as luxurious. It doesn't take its time as much as like Season 1 did, because, that's the best comparison since it's a mystery both seasons. And like Season 2 has a mystery, but it's not the central thrust. The trial is the central thrust, so it's kind of apples and oranges between Season 2 and 3. But Season 1 takes its time unraveling the mystery a little bit more, and Season 3 almost seems to rush it a little bit. I don't know if it's just trying to cram too much in. And it's heavy stuff, and it's good stuff. It's good stuff for conversation, but it just wasn't as good of a season.
But you liked Lost, so
This is true.
Mel and I snuck out Monday and saw Kingsman: The Golden Circle. Did I mention this last time?
Yep.
Oh, then never mind. I didn't do anything this week.
Because we recorded on Monday last week.
Yeah.
That's right. We did record on Monday last week. I forgot about that. Okay, never mind. I didn't do anything this week.
I started reading a book called The Black Archive, Scream of the Shalka. There's a group, and the name of the book company escapes me now, but it's a series of books, and I think they're up to like maybe 15 or 16 of these. It's called The Black Archives, and then what they do is they have a different writer each time who basically writes an essay on a particular Doctor Who story. And I started on number 10, which is Scream of the Shalka, because you guys know my obsession with Scream, or with Shalka Doctor, and started reading it. It's kind of interesting, and the neat thing about them is they have them. I think it's a U.S. based company, because a lot of the prices were all in pounds. But they can print books, and I think they have a way that if you order a book, then they print a book specifically here in the U.S. and it's sent to you.
Print on demand.
Yeah, exactly. Which saves you a little bit of, you're not shipping overseas, which is cool. The other option is, because I'm an e-reader now, for the most part, is you can buy ebook copies of them, and then I think I spent $5 for this particular one. It's 150 some pages, I think. And like I say, I just started. I think I got through the first chapter so far, but it's. All of these are essays discussing the particular shows. The very first one they did was Rose. They've done, I think they've done Talons, maybe. I was flipping through some of them, and I can't. They're all escaping me, but anyway, the one that caught me was Scream of the Shaka.
So is it a series of essays? Each essay is by a different author?
No. It's one long essay about
by one author.
About and they talk about this particular one talks about the history of it, explores some of the critiques that it's had. It explores some of the nuances of the story, those kind of things. The first episode specifically talks about the Doctor and rebooting. Or regenerating a Doctor for a Ninth Doctor prior to rebooting the series for a Ninth Doctor later, and the pros and cons with how they did it. One of the specific things they talk about is this was the first time that we got a regeneration prior to the Doctor showing up on screen. So the Doctor shows up on screen, he's already regenerated, which would then again happen in the Ninth Doctor story Rose, right. Which is interesting enough. And it talks about the dichotomy of one of the things that was a challenge for the movie is the fact that they brought Sylvester McCoy back to have some continuity so he could regenerate into the Eighth Doctor, Paul McGann. And so that might have been a turnoff, especially for new viewers, because what's going on here? I don't understand this. When you establish the show with the Doctor already regenerated, you don't have to deal with that until later, and that would have been a benefit had they been able to go on. In fact, he talks about there was already a second script for another show, webisode, ready to go, or at least half written, before they got the announcement. Of course, the webisode got canned. I think this is pretty much common history. The webisode got canned even before it aired, and they had to go through a lot of hoops. I think the documentary on there talks about it, to go ahead and get it to run, because they had already made promises of it. But the TV show had already been announced, or was going to be announced a few months later. So,
yeah.
Here's an idea. I think you should write a series of essays, and we'll release one for each topic, and we'll call it the Black Archive. But your task will be to show how we can canonize some of these adventures that don't fit in canon.
Because these are a lot of discussions we've had off microphone anyway.
So you should just do that and say, here's how Scream of the Shaka fits into Doctor Who. And then you could do one on, here's how TV comics fit into Doctor Who. And you could just do one of those for each one of those oddball things that you have trouble with.
The problem you have for Scream of the Shaka is there is not a vehicle now to make it canon. Someone has to write that linking canonization. I mean, we've talked about it. I have an idea that you're going to eventually put on paper for me on how to do that. But you can't. You couldn't do that. You couldn't do that with Shaka. I think you could. You could do it with things like the First Doctor, Second Doctor, TV action comics, or TV comics, and then of course action with the Third Doctor. You can do that. You could sit down and write an essay on how these work together and how they work within the continuity at the very least.
You can sit down and write an essay on Shaka. You don't have the smoking gun.
That's it.
The problem.
So yeah, you need the smoking gun for it to work, is what I meant. You could write it, but it wouldn't work like you're explaining it. But it would for the others.
Can you do that with Star Trek Discovery?
Did you watch that?
I
finally?
did.
What'd you think?
It's very pretty. There was a lot of money spent, and it's all on screen. It's well acted. That's about the extent of what I can say nice about it, quite honestly. I understand that I am a raging Star Trek fan, and so I have very, very strong opinions about how Star Trek should be done, and that I'm the generation that's going to have the biggest problem with any monkeying around with how you're going to put this together. I get that. I understand that probably 90% of my problems with Discovery are fanboy problems that, well, it's just not my Star Trek. And I hate being that guy because there's a whole litany. I put up a blog post that's like, 10 pages that went into detail explaining what they did wrong. But the unforgivable one is the fact that it's clunky exposition, dialogue, and writing. That the pacing's bad. I know I didn't enjoy it. And then to get to the end of this two-parter and find out that it's the prologue to the series. Technically, it's not even the pilot of the show. It's a prologue to the pilot of the show, because all the events of this, it's all set up. But the next episode 3, is apparently going to be the one that actually kind of kickstarts where the series is going. but you kind of had to have, it's like, well, then you failed in
It's
how you told me the
backstory.
story. It's backstory. It should have been dropped in as backstory.
Yeah.
But, don't promise me this and then do something else. I have, I've been on record as being very much against how CBS All Access is being handled with this. And I will be honest, I have reversed my opinion on this a little bit, because I understand this is no different than HBO having Game of Thrones. And that it's a subscription service to get HBO, and if you want to watch Game of Thrones, you've got to pay for it, and that a lot of people will pay, watch Game of Thrones, and then drop
There's
it.
a slight difference. The fact that the first episode aired on television proper for free, anybody could have watched it. If you had, even without any
Right.
cable subscription, you could have watched it.
Right.
That's the difference.
Well, it's, the try before you buy, but where I think my issue with is, I'm not a fan of this model, and that I've been on record with, is I don't like the idea that CBS has this, and this, that you have to, or that CBS has a program and Disney has a program, and that's the part that I'm not a fan of. But I think where CBS screwed up is the fact that they showed half of the episode for free.
Well, it was technically one episode. for free.
They called it one. It's
Half
not
of a story.
Half
for
of a
free.
story.
It's not, because it's a 2-hour movie event is what it is. And they just broke it in half and said, now you got to pay to find out how this ends. And then you get to the end of that and find out, well, that's really not the end. That's set up for what's going to come later.
Right.
And then apparently, because I watched it, I set a tape delay on it, but apparently a lot of people got screwed by the football game, because the football game ran late.
Oh.
And they didn't preempt 60 Minutes. So they apparently didn't even show all of Star Trek Discovery. So, the whole thing from top to bottom is screwed. But
Well, I have to step in here and say that's hard for me to believe that you didn't see all of it. What happened is people
Some
that had
people
it DVR'd for a certain time
Probably,
Yes.
yeah.
probably
Yes.
didn't get to see all of it. But
Yeah.
if
sure
you
it
were
aired
watching
in
it
its
going out
entirety.
live, it would have, the whole thing would have.
Yeah. So, but no, my issues are just the fact that it was poorly paced, and that it's poorly written. And I understand we're only 2 episodes in, so that this obviously there's a lot of this that can change. But the fact that they made it a prequel, the 10 years pre-Kirk and Spock, I just feel like there are now so many hoops that they're going to have to jump through in order to justify that decision, when they didn't need to. If they had set this show 20 years later in the prime timeline, I think they'd have been fine.
Well,
But
it's not the story they wanted to tell. They wanted to tell this story, so you can't fault them for that. But I think it's going about the way and style that they're doing is what's hurting them.
yeah,
Is they
Well,
want
it
to
depends
make
on
it
who made
flashy
the
and-
decision. If it was CBS saying we want this here, as opposed to the storytellers and them being forced to
Well,
create a story, they were
but
given
no matter
guidelines.
no matter whether the network said it or no matter whether the writers said it, somebody said this is what the story we want to tell. That's my point.
Yeah.
And so you don't go into it and say this is the story we want to tell, and then if the writers don't want to do it that way, then they walk and they find new writers. Or if the writers
As
decide they
apparent
want
when
to tell
Brian
it that
Fuller
way,
left.
then you make sure you have somebody that can make sure that it fits continuity wise
That's
and
the
works
problem.
without having to drop all of these explanations for why certain things are certain ways.
if you want to tell this story, if this is the story you want to tell, okay, but this is the way you have to tell that story, and they're not following that. And so it's in my personal headcanon, the only way I can make this work is to set it in the Kelvin timeline, and it's part of the JJ verse, 10 years pre-Kirk and Spock.
Right,
Then it kind of works. Or I have to accept the fact that this is a hard reboot, and this is now a third separate timeline that doesn't have anything to do with the other two.
That's what it
That's
makes.
the only way it fits.
And I'm speaking
Maybe
without
they'll
having
change it, but
I'm speaking without having seen the first 2 episodes, but I suspect it probably was started as a precursor to the Kelvin timeline, and then they realized that, well, if we're putting this on television, we can't do it because they have some rights hoops they have to jump through, and they probably said, okay, well, we'll make it fit with the TV series, and it's not, because now they're having to jump through even more hoops in order to make it fit with the series.
so yeah, my nickel's worth for what it's worth. If you're a fan of New Trek, you'll probably really enjoy it. But if you have any history with the show, I don't know.
Lots of issues.
It's so riddled with things that don't work already. And like I said, maybe they'll fix it. Maybe I'll stick with it. It's Star Trek, so I'll watch it. I watch Star Trek 5 every now and then. So I go back
Every now and then.
Every now and then I'll go back to the well, and I even watch the bad ones. So it's just, but yeah, it's Did you watch it?
I did watch it.
You watched both parts?
Yeah, it was okay. Yeah, little. It tried to straddle the line of being dark and edgy and the optimism too much. I mean, there was.
You talked a little bit about it last week.
Yeah. So I mean, it was kind of. I'm willing to give it a shot. We'll see how it goes.
I'm not enjoying it as much as I enjoy the Orville.
Yeah, I've liked the Orville all the way.
This most recent episode I really liked.
I still haven't seen it. Of course, I told you that I'm a week behind now. So
Yeah.
Oh,
I've got a lot of catch up to do because Inhumans started this week too, and I haven't.
Yeah,
had a
I
chance to
haven't
look at
watched
it
that yet either.
Anything else?
no, sorry, I kind of
Not
hijacked
really.
that.
No, it's all right.
No, it isn't.
You hijacked with hate.
Normally you kick me under the table
Hate
at this
and
stage,
bile.
but you can't reach me over here.
Well, the thing is, this will be the thing you'll tune into if you want to see Sean's full-blown review of the Discovery, because I can cut whatever I want out of the podcast portion of
But it's
when we go
documented
long,
on Facebook
It's documented
Live.
on Facebook Live.
That's true.
People actually get to see the...
Go to my website on my blog.
Yeah, he does have...
There's a whole pages and pages and pages with pictures.
Let's go to some comments.
We have comments?
We have comments.
We have comments.
Hi, everybody.
We do? They're not showing up on mine.
Brittany says hi.
Hi,
As-
Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
Does Lisa says, hey guys.
Hey,
Lisa.
Lisa.
Brittany says, I am going back to my childhood watching PBS because of the
Wait,
plate
wait.
strike.
Oh, yeah.
we haven't even got to that part yet.
And she says the photo challenge isn't on her blog this year. She's slacking.
Oh.
And in
But
response,
is she going to add it? Are you going to add it to your blog now that we've brought it up?
now I feel like she has to.
I think she does
We
too.
put her in a corner.
So say we all.
Here, we're just dictating what she puts on her blog now. That's what we do.
We have the power.
You can find that photo challenge on Brittany's blog.
Probably going to do it right now.
Fixed that, didn't I?
And Lisa says you don't mess with people's 60 minutes. So that's why
Yeah,
they
that's-
didn't preempt it. Those people get really upset.
Those people get really upset.
You work a different shift and you'd find that out.
Well, just working at the station that I work at, I see a lot of the comments that come in about, why are you letting us know about this hostage crisis? Where's Wheel of Fortune? So,
That happens.
I don't
in
miss
all
those
TV
phone calls.
stations, yeah. We have those as well.
because, lady, it's next door. Don't you? Just Wheel of Fortune? Okay.
Well, what we got in the news this week, Keith?
In the news, it's kind of a light week, but
Doctor Who's still not on.
Doctor Who's still not on. And so we've got a new game coming. Doctor Who Infinity. Coming
Like
to...
with little figures and a portal that you plug into your Xbox?
No.
What is it?
It is on PC and mobile platforms, coming out spring 2018, produced by Tiny Rebel Games.
Oh, that gives me hope.
Of course, that's the team behind Doctor Who Legacy. It's being developed in close collaboration with Seed Studio, along with a broad team of UK-based talents, and the artwork is very comic book artwork. I hear
Is that
other
me?
voices.
Oh, we're back. I'm sorry. I didn't realize that the
Glenn turned his volume on.
volume's
So,
on.
Infinity builds on the adventure game, the addictive puzzle gameplay of Doctor Who Legacy to immerse players in comic book style puzzle adventures. Each story-based adventure has its own unique art style and author. To bring the original stories to life, Tiny Rebel Games has recruited, obviously, a wide base of talent. The first story comes from
Paul Cornell.
George Mann.
Still good.
It's a safe bet.
Pretty close.
I'll take George Mann any
Yeah.
day of the week.
So it's coming out late spring 2018 on PC, iTunes, and Google Play.
We all have iTunes or Google Play, so
I have PC.
and you have PC, so I guess we'll be reviewing that in 2018.
Hopefully, we won't run into the issue we ran into with Legacy of our devices not being able to keep up.
Yeah, no kidding.
Being the launch, I would hope that's not
Yeah,
an
I
issue.
think we'll be all right.
Better
Be all
buy-
right for now.
I better
You
buy-
won't be able to do it on your iPad.
Yeah, I
but-
better buy a new. I better buy a new one before then.
Better
because-
just use your phone, Sean.
Yeah.
That's what I went to with Legacy. Was I started using my phone. So
But I'm so far along here. I can't start over now.
don't have to
'cause you
start
can't-
over.
He can't. He does
I
because he's
do.
switching platforms.
Because it's Yeah, it's not an iPhone. It's going from this to an Android.
I don't think it matters. I think I.
Oh, really?
Does it
'cause
not anymore? Did they fix that?
Mason went from. He picked up from where he was on his Android tablet and picked back up on his iPad somehow. So
Oh, there you go. They must have added that functionality because it didn't
maybe
used
they
to be
did.
there.
Maybe they did.
Well, good. Then I'll just start playing again.
I believe that's right because he was.
Watch.
We
I'll
were
set
worried
it
about
up
that
and
on
I'll
him.
wipe
and
my
it was fun.
game. Glenn will be laughing at me next week going, I don't know why you believe me.
What else we got in the news, Keith?
In other news, our good friends at Candy Jar announced a new short story to go along with the Radio 1's 50th anniversary weekend called 48 Crash by Mark Carton.
Wait, say that again?
So, that's the 50th anniversary of BBC Radio 1.
Okay.
So, Lethbridge-Stewart has released a short Kindle-only story called 48 Crash.
Lethbridge-Stewart?
It's
Isn't
Candy
he
Jar.
Candy Jar has
Yeah.
done it. I got you. The Lethbridge
He said
Stewart.
Candy Jar initially.
I missed the Candy Jar. Then that's what I was. Lethbridge Stewart. He's a character. Okay, I got you. I'm on board now.
So you can just hop online and read that story.
Oh, okay.
And we'll add that
And
to
you
our
can also
scheduling
get
at some point.
to those who pre-order The Flaming Soldier.
Ah,
So by default, you will get that story also.
nice.
Which is the first one in the next set of books, right?
That's the other novella.
Oh, that's right. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right. Okay.
That's it for news. Pretty
All
slow
right.
week.
Any feedback? I guess you kind of read out the feedback already as it's coming in live here.
That's right. Brittany says, "Gee, thanks guys." LOL.
You're welcome, Brittany. Hey, we're just driving traffic to your blog. I mean,
You're welcome.
But it's on Five-ish Fangirls,
you're right. You're
The
welcome.
challenge is on Five-ish
Yes,
Fangirls,
yes.
so we just send people there. Don't worry about putting on your blog, Brittany. We'll just send people to Five-ish Fangirls.
Brittany says that would be amazing, and Lisa says, "Ooh." I'm assuming about the games.
Oh, yeah.
This is me knowing. I don't know.
Well, let's talk a little bit about Pledge Drive.
Yes.
That's the purpose of the show. Sean, what are we trying to do here? What are we?
Please give us money. No, if you we've threatened this long enough since I don't know, probably day one. That we joked at one point. Maybe day 3.
No, I didn't come about that early.
Once we
7.
figured out, hey, we might be able to get some
Sometime
money.
in the first year. Sometime in the first year.
Early. We had joked about doing a pledge drive because, again, this half of the room grew up with Doctor Who on public television, and that was always a gotcha. Doctor Who's, it's a pledge drive week. And I don't mean to say that in a bad way, because obviously public television relies on that in order to fill out their budgets, and it's just, you got to do it. But they always try to sucker you in with the disappearing TARDIS mug, that if I'm sure this mug, even if you could find one and paid for shipping into the U.S. from UK, it was probably a $30 coffee mug tops, but it was always a $60 or $65 or $70 pledge that you would get said coffee mug.
How much does that effect cost?
Not much.
Okay.
You've seen the Star Trek transporter disappearing. It's the same. You pour the hot water in and it goes away. You pour the cold water in and it comes back.
Unfortunately, we couldn't get any disappearing TARDIS.
No, I don't know why I'm
At
telling
least,
that
at least
story.
back from then.
For
'Cause
our
they do-
listeners,
You
but-
do know they still make them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I-
You just want an original one.
Well, no,
You just bemoan that they don't exist, and they do.
I never, as a kid who had $60, I didn't, so I never got my disappearing TARDIS coffee mug. I couldn't. Not that I would drink coffee out of it anyway. But probably put orange Fanta in it or something. But I always wanted one of those, and
then it wouldn't have disappeared because it wasn't hot.
Yeah, so I'd have found a way to make that work.
Drinking warm Fanta.
Yeah. It just tastes like warm root beer. Anyway, so one day I will buy a disappearing TARDIS coffee mug just to have it, just to be able to say, yeah, I did. But I didn't have $60 growing up. Anyway, the point of that story is we always joked that wouldn't it be fun if we did a pledge drive style show for the podcast where we were soliciting funds and asking for pledges, and that we could come up with some cool nifty things. As Glenn pointed out, thanks for spoiling that. No, we don't have a disappearing TARDIS coffee mug, but we do have some other goodies in store. So we have a Patreon page. which I meant to make a sign that would have the address of the Patreon page permanently, up in like lights. I was going to put Christmas lights around it, like Jerry Lewis Telethon style, and I ran out of time.
The mist laid plans.
Yeah. Up here, all my ideas are awesome. Out in the real world, not so much. But
speaking of signs,
where can they go?
You know what occurred to me that looking at this now,
it's backwards.
It's backwards. Our sign is backwards
because
we're using the selfie sign.
See why I should.
You're right. You should have turned the camera the other direction. I'm sorry.
When in doubt, never go selfie.
That's right. Now the iPhones fix that by writing the picture the correct way. So
really,
yeah. Huh. Anyway,
obviously you guys are more advanced selfie people.
Yeah, people can go to actually our website travelingthevortex.com. You can become a patron of the podcast,
which is that way.
Yeah. Even our shirts are backwards this way.
Hold it up to a mirror,
shirts, and they're all backwards as well.
That pretty much describes our podcast.
Travelingthevortex.com, and on the right-hand side of the page, and it will be the right-hand side of your page if you're there. That won't be backwards.
Until I go and mirror it.
There is a link to Patreon. You can become a patron of our podcast by clicking on that link. It'll take you directly to Patreon, and at Patreon you can sign up for a monthly recurring pledge to our show. You can pledge as little as $1. You can pledge as much as you want. But what it does is it continues to recurringly take it out of your account. For example, I'm a fan of the Five-ish Fangirls, so I am a patron supporter of their website, and each month I pledge $5 to their podcast, and that money goes back into their program in order to help them out. And so we kind of do the same thing. Any of that money, in fact, all of that money goes back into this podcast. Takes care of things like server space. It takes care of file information that has to be stored, all of the storage, all
domain
the upload,
names.
domain names, website fees, and everything that this podcast incurs. That money goes right into that, so that we can continue on a weekly basis to bring you these podcasts. Because, with the exception of maybe we did take a couple of breaks last year, or was it early this year?
It was last year, last October.
We did take a couple of breaks, but besides the few breaks, we've almost had a podcast every week.
And even then, we still had content every week.
We did have content every week. And we've done the podcast every week. Now, there's been just a few, where there's been just two of us. But every week, from week to week to week, we continue to give content to our listeners.
350 weeks.
350 weeks.
That's
content that is free to you as a listener, to all of our listeners, which we love. We wouldn't be doing this podcast if we didn't love Doctor Who, if we didn't love sitting around every week, every Sunday night, doing this and recording this show. But what also gives us a lot of joy is to be able to put this out there on a podcast feed and allow you guys to listen to it and get feedback from you guys and talk about it and let you guys, hear what, a long time ago I thought, who the heck cares what we think about Doctor Who? And here we are 350 episodes later, and people are still continuing to say, hey, we want more. They give us feedback on the stuff that we do. And we, you look at our numbers, our statistics, and we've got people out there actually listening on a weekly basis. That enjoy what we say. I don't know why, but
and we never say thank you enough. So
we
thank
don't.
you.
And
thank
yes,
you.
We thank you so much. We're so appreciative that we're asking for your money, but you're making an investment in the content that you hear here, and that's I think the important thing is just a little bit helps, even if it's $1. If we had let's say we had 2,000 listeners and everybody gave $1. That's enough to sustain this show for another 2 or 3 years, and that's what we're looking for. We don't have 1,000 listeners each giving $1 a piece, so that's why we do something like this, is to maybe encourage somebody to say, you know what, I can give an extra $1 a month. I can give an extra $2 a month. Hey, I really like what these guys are doing. I'll give an extra $10 a month. $10 is what you pay for Netflix, or you pay for Hulu or things like that. Now, granted, you do get a lot more content for your buck there as well, but also they're not doing it for free. They're doing it for profit, things like that. So every little bit helps, and that's what we're hoping to solicit from you.
I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to say the content that we provide on Traveling the Vortex has a greater value than anything you would get through CBS All Access.
At least at this point, right?
Per capita.
Well, we're like Doctor Who Confidential. with less facts and more witty banner.
Less
more
facts
witty
and
banner.
more witty banner. Who said that?
That was.
It's been so long
It's been
ago.
It was
so
either
long.
Mark or Alex.
Yeah,
I think it was Mark McMarmite.
I think you're right. Where are you at, Mark? Are you out there?
Is Mark listening? How many viewers? How many viewers do we have? Or
It's probably
how many people
super
do we
late on
have
his side of the
looking
pond.
looking in on us right now? Keith?
Right now, we got at least 4 people coming in.
4 people looking.
Brittany
in on us.
says we are missing the people behind you answering calls.
"Yeah, sorry.
That's you, Brittany. That's you right there.
This is what this
a
is.
pledge drive in the digital age.
We weren't able to have the phone bank of people listening to the calls, and so that's why we wanted to do at least something with a little visual and get comments from people.
They're right behind this curtain. Why are you telling that? There's a whole
room of it. Can you hear the
whole room
phone
of
calls in the
volunteers.
background?
I got my mom back there on a phone. She's talking to people right now.
Yeah, that's the other thing is if you during this hour-long video podcast and podcast, if you have pledged money to us, if you go to Patreon, you put it on there, we'll give you a shout out on the air. Keith, Sean started talking about the Dispering TARDIS mug. And that's one of the things that we also wanted to kind of mimic a little bit. And what we're doing is for anybody that does pledge, we do have a few gifts. You want to talk a little bit about the gifts there, Keith?
Yeah, absolutely. We
Can
have.
you get around your microphone to talk about
I'll get
segments?
around some of them.
All right.
We've got the official Doctor Who Annual 2016 to give away.
Ooh. Vanna White that. Yeah.
We've got
there
some
you
here. You be the Vanna.
go. I'll be the Vanna.
We've got a couple of very nice copies of the novelization of The Visitation.
Now, I want to point out with this annual, there are like pages in it, okay, with pictures and words.
And it hasn't been written. There's puzzles that have not been done.
So look at the
Incomplete
value
puzzles,
of this.
so
you've
you
got a
can-
comic book in here. You've got a Where's Waldo kind of thing.
Nice. Well, where's Wally over there?
Calendar from Time Heist. I don't know why.
A calendar from Time
Calendar.
Heist?
No, it's not.
What month is that?
That's a game.
It's a game.
Is it a game?
There's
a board
no month
game.
that has 39 days.
Oh. Well, that's a much better value then. Because
Smarch has 39 days. Lousy
Interviews.
Smarch weather.
I hate Smarch. So this is a $13 book, which can be yours for the low pledge of $45. What do you?
Yes, $45.
$45.
That's how
and
it
it's
always
yours. We'll
worked.
mail it out to you.
Model The Visitation there, Sean.
The Visitation again. More words on paper.
More words on paper.
High quality
This
stuff.
is a very nice. This is one of those. You ever pick up a book and go, "Ooh, I like the feel of that." This is one of those.
Yeah.
This has got a nice feel to it. The cover has got an embossed foil Doctor Who logo on it. I don't know if the light's
it's
picking
one
that
of the
up. It's very
recent-
shiny.
Really silly.
I'm really
Isn't it?
selling this novelization of The Visitation, which, as you all know from long lines of listening, has our favorite rainbow trout. It's that episode, so now you can read about the rainbow trout and how it's described there.
And we'll talk about more prizes and show you those as we go on through the podcast as well. So, should we?
I got more comments.
Well, let's read out some
Read out
comments.
some
then.
comments.
All right, so Mel says the set looks great, guys. Yuck, warm Fanta. Lisa,
Is that your Mel?
That's his Mel.
I don't know.
Thanks, Mel.
Mel took a break from answering phones.
Lisa says, I love my coffee mug, LOL. I got mine from a pledge drive here when Time Eddie staff answer calls for
yay.
KPTS.
See?
All right.
That's a thing.
Well,
So-
it's like we didn't believe. It's like he's validated. See, I'm not lying to you. I'm not lying.
I'm not
to
lying
you.
to you. The
I
Disparate
used to
Coffee
watch
was
the.
a thing.
I used to watch the pledge drive. I could vouch for you. Yeah. In fact, I used to watch the same pledge drive that Lisa watched. In fact,
Well, she was on this pledge drive.
Yeah,
oh,
they-
she was
they
on
were
that
they
one.
were-
This was one of the recent
I
ones.
probably saw. Oh, this
She
was
was
recent.
she was behind the
This was
curtain
when I was a
answering
kid.
phones for
Yes.
that one.
Just recently. Okay, I got it.
Yes.
I really
Because
wish we
the
had.
Time Eddie staff was answering the calls.
I really wish we had the extra equipment that we could have shown you the phone bank, because we've got a Silurian and an Ice Warrior and a Cyberman back there on phones with headsets, and they look awesome. But we just can't show them to you. So just trust us; it looks great.
Brittany says it's the Mirrorverse.
Yeah, but I should not have a beard, and Keith should.
I should. And neither should Sean.
Yeah, we should lose the beards, and dude, that'd be a fun show. We should do that one week for Halloween.
Do a
Just
Mirrorverse,
do a Mirrorverse
version of the
episode.
show. Do I actually have to shave for that?
Yes.
Oh,
It'd be hard to cover yours up.
Yeah, that's true. Of course, then if we did that in October, then I could start the
No Shave Number.
No Shave Number.
Yeah.
That's how this one started. Was a No Shave Number.
It was.
Yeah.
Rachel and Brittany say thank you, Glenn.
You're welcome.
And Rachel says, traveling the vortex-ish.
Traveling Vortex itch. Yeah, ish.
Rachel says, you guys were responsible for the Five-ish Fangirls. We're your spinoff.
That's right. That's our sister podcast, actually.
Yes. Chrissy jumped on and said, hi, boys.
Hi,
and
Chrissy.
hi, Sean's mom.
Oh, Sean's mom's watching?
Hi, Mom.
Hi,
No.
Mom.
No, Chrissy says
Chrissy
hi to my
was
mom.
saying hi to
Chrissy
Sean's
said
mom.
hi. Oh, okay.
Because she's answering the phones.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Chrissy has a
right,
great
right,
point.
right.
Is the Merca answering phones back there?
Yes, totally.
Well,
Does the Merca speak?
we had
Doesn't he just
trouble.
go,
We had trouble
"Whoa,
getting
whoa"?
him in the front door, so he's actually upstairs answering phones. So
He's
couldn't get him
standing
down the
guard.
stairs.
Answering phones is a little bit of a misnomer because you've seen the Merca in action. We put a phone out, and the flippers and the feet. I mean, he knocked the receiver off the phone, but I don't know if there's much answering going on upstairs. So.
Any more comments?
That's it for now.
Well, there's another thing that we were going to do on this podcast, and that is give you a little bit of a sneak peek of a new book from Candy Jar Books, which is a spin-off of their Lethbridge-Stewart series.
So
and
it's a spin-off of a spin-off.
Spin-off of a spin-off. And it's actually designed, or it's written for young adults, right? Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
And it's called...
The Lucy Wilson Mysteries, Avatars of the Intelligence.
And it's written by Sue Hampton.
Yes.
Hampton. And we actually got advanced copies of this. This is a book that will be available to the public after the first of the year. Pre-order copies are going out and will be available before the end of the year. And there were some copies, I think, that were given away or sold back in September, I believe it was, in Cardiff when they had their book thing. So there are some copies out there as well.
In
but
Cardiff.
we got in Cardiff, yeah, and we got well, I mean, at the Cardiff event is what I meant. And we got some preview copies and had a chance to read them, and so we'll talk a little bit about that. It'll be a spoiler-free review.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil anything on that
Right.
book.
So, do you have a blurb for us?
I
there,
do
Keith?
have a blurb.
All right.
11-year-old Lucy Wilson doesn't want to move from London to sleepy Ogmore by the Sea in South Wales. But when she arrives in her new seaside home, it isn't as boring as she expected. The village is under the control of a mysterious alien force, and it falls to Lucy and her new friend Hobo to stop it.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun reading this.
I had a lot of fun reading this too. It's obviously geared towards a younger reader, very much so, but still very entertaining, very enjoyable, a lot of fun. Lucy is a terrific character. If you've read the Havoc Files, we were introduced to Lucy in the story. I think it's called Lucy Wilson, and she is Lethbridge-Stewart's granddaughter. And the interesting thing to me is I didn't realize that this book actually takes place after This isn't spoiling anything because we find this out right away. This is after Lethbridge-Stewart has passed.
Yes.
And so Lucy's grandfather is already gone. And she, of course, as is alluded to in the short story in the Havoc Files, she idolized her grandfather. She loved him. She loved him dearly. He used to tell her stories. She had great admiration for him. And she still does. She continues that admiration even in his death, after his death, and she really so much so that she wants to embody the spirit of Lethbridge-Stewart and follow in his footsteps somewhat. She does talk about how she has no fear. She's not afraid of anything except for maybe spiders. But so she's that, and she moves to this small sleepy village by the sea. And she meets a young boy named Hobo, which I didn't feel like I got the fulfillment that I had talked about when we talked about this book, which is what I wanted, what his real full name was. Did we get that? I didn't see that anywhere.
I don't remember.
His full name is Hobo.
His full name. I thought maybe Hobo was short for something, but maybe we'll. I mean, this is obviously the first in a line of books, so maybe they'll divulge that later. Or maybe it is just Hobo. Maybe that's all it is. But mysterious things start happening around town, and specifically to Lucy, and then to other classmates as we go along. And it's really entertaining. it ramps up to quite a large grand prelude, or to
it really
a
does.
finale. Went a little further than I kind of expected. There are not a lot, but there's a few surprise guests in this that I didn't
Especially
expect.
One near the end.
One big one there near the end, which was terrific because it follows right in line with, it puts you in that world of Lethbridge-Stewart. It's not just name drops. We've actually got a few characters that are carried over as well.
And it's not just memories of characters.
It's not, yeah.
Like it is with actual Alistair. It's
right.
other characters.
Right.
I think one of the things that impressed me the most about this is that I tend to read a lot of young adult fiction. I enjoy it. There's,
I do too.
There's so many books out there, so many book series, and especially since that's where Hollywood is mining a lot of material from. It's very easy to kind of go out and get the latest Harry Potter or Hunger Games or whatever it happens to be. It's the flavor of the week. And so I didn't feel that the writing in this was in any way, shape, or form less than any of those other series. It's right up there quality-wise.
If not higher.
And it's a very enjoyable read, and it's a lot of fun. And the fact that it's a young adult book, but in the Lethbridge-Stewart verse, just kind of had that added benefit of fun to it. It was just one little extra facet to it that was like, this is so cool. I love Lucy. I think she's a great character. I love Hobo. I just, from the moment he stepped into the story, it was kind of like, where's this kid been?
The character could almost fall into some annoying traps of, just being exposition machine, or just being, because he's so intelligent, just could be that person that's easy fixes for everything.
But he's not.
She avoids all of those traps every single time.
Yeah, Sue Hampton did a phenomenal job putting this together, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I quite enjoyed it. I think that it keeps you captivated through the whole thing. There doesn't seem to be, sometimes you'll read a book and there'll be these highs and then these dips and then these highs and these dips. But it really kept me interested in going the whole way through. What's going to happen next?
It more ramps up than dips down at all.
It really does, and it continues to ramp up. That's why I say we get this quite a big ending, and I really enjoyed that. I appreciated that very much from the book.
When I was told the premise of this and read about it, I thought, oh, so it's going to kind of feel like Sarah Jane Adventures. But it doesn't. Like, it's the closest analogy I think you can make, but it doesn't tonally have that feel to it, because it still has the tonal feel of Lethbridge-Stewart.
It does.
There's some elements to it, obviously, with, we've got kids solving mysteries of the paranormal, supernatural kind of environment. So there are some parallels that you can draw there. But you're right, it's totally it's a Lethbridge-Stewart book.
I think part of that is because for the most part, at least until near the end, the kids are really on their own.
Oh yeah,
and they're on their own to figure out what's going on and to get around the situations and figure out what to do in this situation as well. And so I think that's what makes it feel very Lethbridge-Stewart. It's very centered. It's not somebody doing the work for them. They do get some help later, but it's them having to figure out the mystery and work through this as they go. And I think that's what keeps it from feeling like Sarah Jane, because you always feel like you have Sarah Jane to kind of fall back on. Even though the kids did a lot of the unlocking of the mysteries, Sarah Jane was always there as, a mentor or a guide. And I don't feel you get that much. Now, I think you maybe get the memory of Lethbridge-Stewart for Lucy, but that's not enough as that.
It's it's just
not answering the questions for you.
Yeah.
Needless to say, you're all in for a treat when the book releases.
Yeah, definitely when it comes out. Definitely, if you can pre-order it now, I would suggest it's a good read. And then, of course, when it comes out after the first year, if you want to wait till then, keep an eye on Candy Jar Books. And obviously, we'll let people know when it's available as well on our podcast. So.
I think my only complaint with the book really was there is this diversion for a little bit as they're ramping up to the finale, that while it's very exciting, felt like padding to me.
I know exactly.
There's
what
a
you're
little
talking about.
bit of thing that is dropped in to help tie it into the ending. That's kind of like, okay, I kind of see why.
Yes.
You didn't necessarily need it to that extent, but it was so it was exciting enough that I was okay with the diversion.
Is it kind of they go away and then come back to?
Yes.
That I couldn't understand the motivation
why
for that.
leave?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I agree. There's something happening, and the whole
it's
time
so
that it
frantic
keeps
and
you
so
engaged.
fast-paced
Yeah.
during that entire thing. It keeps you engaged and keeps you turning pages.
I thought
and it
so,
wasn't
too.
until they go back, and I'm like, wait, we're back? Wait, what?
Yeah,
What?
I felt kind of the same way on that. I think that was my only thing was I'm not sure I missed something or not, but maybe I didn't. If you kind of felt the same way,
yeah.
So. Although you're right, it does sort of answer the question as to why
It gives a couple of things, but those things were also planted earlier on.
Right.
Aside from like a name that we
Right.
get, you don't
Right.
really. It was almost unnecessary, but I was willing to let it go because it was so much had so much excitement to it that I was all right with that part.
Well, let's take a break from our
Being
review
very
and talk
cagey.
a little bit about Pledge Drive again, because that's another thing that they did. They always pulled you away from your shows as you were watching the Pledge Drives on PBS to take a break to ask you for more money. So we're going to do that again. Remember, if you become a Patreon supporter, you become a friend of the show. You become a friend of Traveling the Vortex. And, of course, Patreon subscribers do get more. With your monthly pledge, you unlock exclusive content on travelingthevortex.com. You unlock exclusive content that we send to you, pieces of files on the internet that you can get. Some of our Patreon subscribers or supporters have already been able to explore some of that content. We do have a piece of audio on our website that is available only to patron subscribers. You get a little passcode to get into that part of our website, and we plan to add more content as we go, and putting that up. And there'll be more mail outs too, things that'll be coming to you in the mail. But
Gift basket part
Gift
2.
basket part 2.
Yes.
We want to give back to you because you're giving to us. You're giving us your hard-earned money, and that's part of what some of the things that we're giving out here on this podcast include. And do we want to show a few more items that
Yeah.
we're giving out on the show?
So we've got some of these really cool.
I don't know if I want to give those out. They're so
yeah,
cool.
these are really
They're
awesome. Doctor Who Timeless trading cards from Topps. Each pack holds 8 cards, featuring the Doctor's greatest adventures across time. Which I believe this is the pack you got me for Christmas last
I believe
year.
it is, yeah.
Or birthday or something, and I really like looking at those cards. They're really awesome. Makes me want to open them up and see if there are any I don't have yet.
But you're not going to.
I'm not. I'm gonna withhold the.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, these I'd have to read all the
Fine print
and doodads in here. I want to say these have exclusive to the Topps autograph cards that are randomly packaged. You know, just
Are
like
those the rare chase cards?
yeah,
Maybe.
just like when you buy a baseball card pack and you pull it out, it's like, oh, I got a
Is
so and
this one
so.
of the ones that have
I think these are
pieces
the ones that
of fabric too, with costumes in it?
maybe.
I think I remember you
I
telling
think
me
you're right.
that.
I think you're right. I think that was one of the features of that box.
So you could have a chance to get some.
Watching me try and read fine print
That's like
is
the
probably
ultra rare chase there. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
fabric. What
Yeah,
else are we
There,
giving out,
there
guys?
is a signed TARDIS medallion card.
Ooh.
Triple
I don't know,
autographs
this
and all
one's-
sorts of
Is
autographs.
that one heavier than the
This
other
one's
ones?
kind of heavy. I don't know.
Somebody might get
Costume
the lucky
relic
one there.
cards.
Costume relic, yeah. And then
We've
we
also
also
got
have a
some
few of these left.
some free Comic Book Day 2017. If you were not able to get down to your local comic book store and pick up one of the free Comic Book Day issues, we have some from this year, which of course was the 4 Doctors, One Astounding Story. Only which we thought half of which was true, but that's not fair. It was. I mean, it's anything from our friends over at Titan is good stuff, and it's Doctor Who. But again, more pictures and words, so you can tell that. But we have several of those to give out, as well as
The 10th Doctor Adventures Year 2 Issue 1 and 8th Doctor Issue 1.
And those are variant covers, too.
Yeah.
So-
variant covers
They're
here.
the variant picture covers.
And we got a really big grand prize that we're excited to give away as well, but we're going to come back to that in a little bit because we want to read some more comments, too. Have we got anybody else that have...
Yes, we have more comments. Lisa says he can just slam the speaker button. Don't Merca hate.
We don't hate on the Merca.
We love the Merca. We love the Merca very much.
Is that how he answers? Just slam on the speaker button.
Chrissy says I can understand not liking spiders.
Yeah.
Brittany says she is intrigued with this book.
Yeah.
Lucy?
Lucy
Yeah.
Wilson is.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, definitely.
Yes, absolutely.
It's definitely a get. If you're reading any of the Lethbridge-Stewart, even if you're not reading the Lethbridge-Stewart, but if you're reading any of the Lethbridge-Stewart, this is a book you want to get.
If you've enjoyed any of the Lethbridge-Stewart stuff, you'll enjoy this one.
It expands on the universe immensely, and it's set in modern day. I think that's the other thing we should talk about. I mean, obviously, when I said he's already passed, you probably assume that, but it's unlike the Lethbridge-Stewart books that are set in the 1960s or 70s. Lucy Wilson is set in modern day, and so that's an interesting intrigue as well, because you've got technology and things like that they get to deal with. The Lethbridge-Stewart crew didn't necessarily have the same kind of things. So,
Chrissy says young adult fiction is tons of fun, so I hear you. And then in the Nicholas Briggs voice, subscribers get more.
subscribers get more.
Rachel commented, maybe I should have waited to begin my Patreon support till now, winky face.
Hey, yeah.
If she had just pledged $1, I think it was in the past week.
You know what? If you up that pledge, you got a good chance of getting some of these gifts. Because, if you're at $1 and you raised it to $2, then that counts. That counts.
Yeah.
For some of this merchandise here. Now, we didn't talk about how the merchandise is going to work. What are we setting certain pledge amounts that we're going to send those out, or are we just going to take the pledges and look at them after they've come in, and then we'll say, we'll divvy out the gifts as we go? How's that going to work, Sean?
That was not in my purview of things that I was required.
Oh, it wasn't. I
thought it was.
I constructed.
I thought
the
that was
set.
you. Oh, you can. Yes. We are at Sean's. We are at the Traveling Vortex Studios, the original location. We've been at the annex site recently recording.
Alternate control room.
Yeah.
It is a lot of wood.
But yeah, so we're going to obviously give some of these gifts away. Well, how do we want to do that? Do we want to do if Pledge Sports comes in during the podcast, we'll give something away? Want to do that?
Yeah, so we can do that.
Sounds good. If anybody wants to up a pledge and just give us a holler and say, hey, we're up in pledges. Some of these things we're going to hold on to, because when this podcast actually goes out on the feeds, then as pledges come in throughout the week, a lot of these gifts and prizes will go out then as well, because people don't necessarily up right now. If you're on the East Coast, it's later. West Coast might be too early. You're not looking at the podcast, so live doesn't mean that you aren't getting some of these prizes that we've talked about. If you pledge sometime during this week, these pledge prizes will be going out to you and being in your mailbox soon. We'll contact you, and obviously we'll have to get some information from you, and so we can know where to send it. But as I said, if you up your pledge, from $1 to $2, you up your pledge from $5 to $10, you're eligible for some of these prizes as well.
And I suppose it's this is a good opportunity to talk about, as Rachel mentioned, she is already a Patreon supporter, and we cannot thank you enough.
That's right,
for that,
yes.
Rachel, and everybody who is currently contributing or has contributed in the past. You guys are quite literally the lifeblood of what we are able to do with this. When we first started doing this, as Glenn said, it's very much a labor of love. And putting it out there and doing what we do because we enjoyed it and because we enjoyed Doctor Who, that was great. And then somewhere along the line, we became victims of our own success because we had this immense backlog of 3-hour at times shows before we learned what we were doing. And it didn't have a place to put them. And so we needed to come up with a way of being able to store them in a website and server, and all of that is expensive. I mean, it's...
Well, in the early days, we had some terrific support, and he still helps us from time to time with our tech work. Matt Hodges. Matt Hodges was
this show would simply not exist.
It would not exist
Hodges.
without Matt, and he was very generous and was able to give us some server space. We did have some amenities that we were able to rely on, but it's as Sean said, we came to a certain point where we got so successful and enough people listening that we really needed some place to host these on a yearly basis and be able to put this out.
And so again, we can't thank Matt enough for kind of being the stepping stone to get to where we're at, but we simply outgrew what he had available for us. And so when we started looking into, okay, how do we do this? And then realizing the cost factor, it was pretty much we love what we do, but how much is this going to come out of our pockets each,
Right.
you know, and for 3 working stiffs here in the Midwest, it's not easy. That's just the way it is. Yeah. We're very, very pleased and humbled that the initial response when we first jumped onto Patreon was so great, and enabled us to go ahead and purchase the servers and the, well, we didn't purchase servers, but we purchased time and space on servers in order to be able to host these episodes. I'd love to have a server. That would maybe be on the wish list sometime.
Well,
down
if
the
we had
road.
our own server, then that would cut some costs as well. In the long run, I mean, obviously the cost of the server would be
And we'll put Glenn in charge of that. But at any rate, you know, when the thermometer gets to here, we can, yeah. So we'll buy a new roof for the church. But at any rate, we certainly wouldn't still be here 350 episodes in. Yay! Epiversary.
350 episodes.
If it wasn't for listeners like you. If it wasn't for supporters like you. So for everybody who is currently or in the past has been a patron subscriber, thank you so much. And as Glenn pointed out, the prize incentives right now are not meant to go, haha, we already have your money. That's not what we're doing here. Because we feel, you know, maybe not as much as I would like there to be, but there is some additional benefit already out there for the Patreon subscribers. But we want to assure you that more is coming, and that this is just kind of dipping the toe into the, look what, you know, trust us, there's more stuff coming. So,
Yep, absolutely. Any more comments out there, Keith?
Yeah. Brittany says, ooh, Doctor Who trading cards? And she also says, I feel bad that I had to down my pledge last month.
Oh, and it happens, and
we understand.
Thing, that's another thing that I want people to understand, that we realize that life gets in the way sometimes of the things that we want to do, the things that we can do, and if you know, we'll never look down on anybody for backing off on a pledge, because we know that sometimes times get hard, and you know, somebody may be supporting us at like $10. They may have to back off at $5. They may have to back off, you know, from $5 to $1. We understand that. We know that's a thing of life, and
yeah.
That's one of the reasons we do the pledge rise, is maybe there's somebody out there that can help, that does have that extra $1 or $2 a month, have that extra $5 a month, have that extra $10 a month, and they want to help us out as well. And then that kind of, you know, shares the load too of our listeners. If there's some people out there that are giving, that helps. 100% of that goes back in the show. The more people that can help, the better, you know, the more content we can put out there, the more special stuff that we can put out there for you. We go to conventions throughout the year, and we try our hardest to get extra content there that people are interested and they want to know. That money helps with that kind of things, those efforts to get out there and get more content for this podcast as well. It's not just servers. It's content based too. It's things that we can bring to this show. And again, 100% of it goes into what we do on this podcast.
Yeah. Brittany says, I actually sometimes miss those longer episodes.
I've had a few people say that, but
Rachel also says, I love longer podcast episodes, but I do understand that precious server space.
yes.
Chrissy says, happy epiversary, and Lisa says, congratulations.
Yay!
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
ladies.
what a way to celebrate.
Yeah. That's kind of like having them here. It's like having a party.
It
Yeah,
is.
it really is.
Where's my warm Fanta?
Let's talk a little bit more about Lucy Wilson. What do you guys rate
Well,
this book?
You touched on it a little bit, talking about the technology, but I absolutely loved how, obviously it's in the title, so intelligence. How
Spoilers.
how
Yeah.
they use how she uses the intelligence in the story, and uses technology to play into that beyond what the Bells of St. John does.
Right.
It takes it the next evolution in a way that I think
And
it really
downtime
needed.
does.
And downtime.
on a lower scale,
much lower
kind
scale.
of from a 90s perspective. But yeah, it uses technology
The
as
Black
well.
Archive.
But yes,
Downtime.
a good example.
A
There you
series
go.
of
There
essays
you go.
by Glenn Bartlett.
But yeah, the
It's much more than Bells of St. John.
yeah, absolutely, Bells of St. John.
Because of the internet and all of the other. I think had Moffat have been able to get away with more device-based stuff, and that just also shows how much technology's advanced so much more, because so much of the
Even since then.
yeah, exactly, even so much of this is device-based, and how it can control people and use it. It makes parts of the book very chilling to think that the intelligence could be anywhere doing anything because of what's ever in your pocket. And she sells that chilling aspect of it very, very well. But not so much that it would scare kids. Like if it's a young reader, it wouldn't terrify them or anything.
No, I don't think so.
It's just the right
just
level
enough,
of, ooh, it's almost a Moffat thing of turning your everyday item creepy.
There's some behind the sofa moments in it, but
Yeah.
I don't think it's anything too intense for, most readers.
Right.
I had to put the book in the freezer a couple of times. So.
That's not good for your iPad.
No, wait. Okay, that's got to come from somewhere. Why do you put the book in the freezer?
Don't you watch Friends?
No, I don't remember that.
You
I
don't
do,
remember?
but I don't remember that.
Okay, so Joey and Rachel are talking about books, and he's been reading The Shining, and he's talking it up, and she doesn't do Stephen King, and she's been, well, fine, I'll read this if you read one of my books. So they swap. So she starts reading The Shining, and she gets Joey to read Little Women.
I remember that episode.
Okay, well, one of the things that she's like, I'm terrified. How do you get through this book? He goes, I put it in the freezer.
Oh, I don't remember that
She
at
says,
all.
why do you do that? He says, because then it can't get me. It's in the freezer. That was just his rationale for it. So then when they get to the...
Well, it makes sense.
And he says, so how's the book? And she goes, oh, it's so good. I'm just up to the thing. And he says, so has he killed the entire family? She goes, what do you... Don't talk. Why would you... And he goes, oh, has he killed the entire family with that blank?
I do remember that.
And then she just puts her hands on her hips and she goes, Joe dies. He goes,
I do remember that.
So at the end of the episode, he comes in after finishing the book and he's all depressed. She's like, did you finish the book? Do you want to put it in the freezer?
Just didn't remember the freezer.
You didn't remember that,
aspect
huh?
of that. No, I didn't. It's been a while since I've seen some of those episodes, though. So.
So you had to put it in the freezer.
Occasionally I had to put Lucy Wilson in the freezer. Yeah. That's why I can't play Doctor Who Legacy. Put the iPad in the freezer.
I think that avoids your Apple Care.
It may. It may, in fact, do that.
I think years on that iPad is voided his Apple Care.
It's lived a hard life. Granddaughters have had it.
Anything else you guys want to talk about Lucy Wilson?
I can't wait to come back and revisit it in a full-blown...
I can't wait for the next book.
Yeah. I'm kind of with you. I'm kind of excited for the series to see where they go with it as well. Yeah.
Now, there's a part of me that's not terribly excited from the standpoint. It's like, oh, there's a whole other thing
series.
I gotta...
Another series I have to read.
Lethbridge-Stewart wrote me into another one.
But it was such a quick read that...
Well, that's so enjoyable, too. That
Yeah.
It's just...
You just don't want to put it down.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's a page turner.
So, I don't know about you guys. Are you guys friends with Sue Hampton on Facebook?
I'm going to have to send her a friend request.
I think I am.
All of you do the same thing. Friend Sue Hampton and tell her how much you're looking forward to Lucy Wilson.
And that you heard the review
and
here.
you heard it here.
Traveling
Yes.
Vortex.
Yes.
And then go like Candy Jar's page on Facebook.
And pre-order the book.
Pre-order the book through them because credit where credit's due.
Absolutely.
And while you're there, you should make sure to pick up a copy of Havoc Files 3. Because, there's there's a whole bunch of really great stories in Havoc Files 3. And then there's one that's just head and shoulders above the rest of them.
The
Lost Skin episode 2.
No, not that one. Yes, that one. Of course it's that one. I mean, come on. Is anybody else frustrated with Andy? You follow him on Facebook or on Twitter, and he's like, I'm not getting anything done today, so I'm going to take the day off. And I'm sitting here going, no! You've got to write the Lost Skin 3.
And then
What are you doing taking the day off?
Then the occasional tweets of, I don't know if I'm going to get this done in time
know.
for Havoc 4.
He's killing me.
I think he does that. I think he does that just to troll you and I.
I'm sure he
Yeah,
does.
yeah.
I'm sure that's all it is.
Well, we're nearing the end of this. Do you have any more comments?
I do have more comments.
Let's read some more
Let's read some more
comments.
comments.
Chrissy says, I went ahead and upped my pledge a bit. It's not a lot. I can't afford much right now, but you guys deserve the help.
New baby.
New
Thank
baby.
you very much.
Thank you,
Chrissy.
Thank you
We
so much,
appreciate it.
Chrissy.
That puts her in contention for a nice gift coming out to her soon. So we appreciate that. Who else?
Rachel says, Whovians are used to having everyday things turn into terrifying things.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's kind of the point now where I almost can't leave the house. Too much outside.
Brittany says a tangent about Friends. I like it. So,
It wouldn't be a Traveling the Vortex episode if we didn't
get tangential
somewhere.
at some point.
yes,
so.
yeah. Chrissy says, Sean, we have an abundance of Who, including spin-offs to enjoy. It's a good problem to have.
That
That's
is a
very
good problem
true.
to have. Yeah, sometimes I sit down and I think of the amount of Doctor Who that's out there. Not just the episodes, not just the spin-off series.
As he
not just-
reminds me every time we talk scheduling.
there are books, there are comics, there are, audios, there's all of this stuff out there. And I always sit there and I think, oh God, I feel like compelled to, I just want to know it all. I want to listen to it. I want to have enough of a backlog in my brain to be able to go, oh, this really connects to this. But then I sit down and I think, I've got all the time in the world and there's always something available to me. And I think there's not a lot of fandom out there that has
there really
such
isn't.
a wealth of media and information and stories out there that you can mine. There's some people out there that have done it all. I mean, there's some people out there that really, they just have found the time to do it all. And I've always wanted to be one of those guys, but then I always sit back and think, I've got all the time to do it. And you can always turn around and say, oh, I've got something else, Doctor Who, that I can do. And so it's really a neat universe to be a fan of.
Yeah, it could be Firefly. you could be sitting on 13 episodes and a couple of comics. And
Yeah,
be
and
going,
waiting for more comics to come out. And
Any day now, we'll get another comic. Darn it.
Any more comments?
Chrissy says Andy is the greatest troll.
Andy is the greatest troll. Yeah.
And you guys will be reviewing stuff for another 350 episodes, I'm sure.
Easily.
We'll have
Hopefully.
enough to do 300. We'll probably we'll have enough material to do 350 fold probably.
No, I'm gonna let this slip here because this has kind of been a behind the scenes thing, but somebody has kind of sort of been threatening retirement. Like not anytime soon, but it's come up that down the road that he may only have 5 years left.
Well, I
in
think
him.
I've recognized that there's only so much, I think, life in a podcast. It's, if listenership drops off at some point, I mean, obviously, we still like to sit around and do this kind of thing. And if the support, isn't there, and you can't afford to do something like this and keep going with it, then you kind of have to do someday, put it to rest, put it to bed. And I think I'm more of a realist that, eventually this is going to come to an end at some point. We're not calling quits here now. They oh my God, they did a pledge show and then they quit. No, that's not what we're doing. But
They're going to be really shocked when we skip a week next week.
I take the realist perspective of it that, this isn't going to last forever. And so I think we just need to enjoy it while we're doing it. And hopefully it's something that we can continue to give to people as long as we have the oomph to do it.
Well, tied in with what we were just saying is there's so much Who out there between the comics and the audios and the movies and the all of these different venues for it. We have enough material to go on nearly indefinitely. Because there's so much stuff already out there, and what we've
still
reviewed,
coming out.
What we've reviewed over
Did
the
you
last
just say nearly indefinitely?
nearly indefinitely.
Okay.
It could dry up tomorrow. The licensing rights could end, and we could catch
I thought
up.
indefinite was indefinite, whether it was near or far.
It's like being almost too clever.
I got you.
Yeah,
All right.
I have to put it in terms of. But my point is that even the 350 episodes that we've done reviewing things is a drop in the bucket compared to the ocean of Who material that is out there that we can tackle. And so I'm challenging all of you. We can't let him retire. That's the point of this, is we've got the stuff out there. So you can't stop listening, and you can't stop writing in feedback, and you can't stop contributing on the Patreon page, because we've got to keep Glenn, we got to keep him hooked. And as he just said, in his words, if it reaches that point where people are not digging it anymore, then blah, blah, blah. Well, we can't ever let it get to that point then.
Well, we've got some support on Facebook Live. Rachel says, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. And I have a friend going on 10 years and counting with his podcast.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
So that's pretty impressive. Brittany says it'll be a sad day when there is no more Traveling the Vortex.
Where are we at? Are we at 6 years now? Are we coming up on 7? Is that right?
Coming up on 7.
Coming up
Yeah.
on 7 years. Wow.
Quickly approaching that 10-year mark.
Well,
Yeah.
tenure was my goal. I mean, that was my thing. As I said,
Five
we
was
do
his
this.
goal.
We'll do this.
Initially,
we'll do
it
this for
was
10
5.
That was a 5-year goal. It was a 5-year mission, expanded into But we hit 5, and we were still at a stride. And
Sorry.
no, we
still there?
we hit 5 years, and we were still at such a stride that I thought, well, okay, maybe this could go 10 years. I'll be the first I'll be honest. I was the first one to say, wow, I can't believe we're still around. We've been doing this for 5, not just 350 episodes, but we've been doing this for 7 years now, and
as we said,
continue to do it.
pretty much every single week.
I think one of the things too that I'm very grateful
Well,
about this.
we had 2 breaks.
We did.
And the 2 breaks were planned. Should I let that cat out of the bag?
Oh, why we
The
had
why
the
we-
break?
why we had the breaks?
Why do we have the breaks?
Because
I don't even remember.
Maybe I shouldn't, because he'll roll his eyes
I
and go, "We
remember.
didn't need to do this." We had an epiversary coming up, and we wanted to celebrate the
yeah.
epiversary
on
at Time Eddy, if I'm not
at
mistaken.
Time Eddy, yeah.
Last year.
Was last year. So we purposely built a couple of breaks into the
It was
schedule
300, I believe.
to get up to
you're
that
right.
episode number. So
I have to say, I think one of the things that encourages me and keeps on going is the friendships we've made, the listeners that have been around since the very beginning. We got Chrissy, we got Brittany, we got Rachel.
Yeah.
Also including the friends that we've made along the way with Lisa and all the folks down at Time Eddy. I think one of the things that sort of energized me and invigorated me again as well in this podcast is we now have something in our... you and I went to... you've been to Gallifrey a few years. Gallifrey 1, few years convention. I went once. It was a blast. I've always kind of lamented the fact that we didn't have something around here, though, like that. And so when Time Eddy came along, it was like, this is Doctor Who right here in our backyard. I mean, this is literally hours down the road. I can go to this, and I can meet great guests. And so it's been great to, Kieran and Lisa and all the people that do the Time Eddy stuff. It's been great to get those friendships and make connections with them, and them helping us out with, we go down there and we help them out by doing panels and things like that. They afford us that opportunity to do that, and we're able to talk to people and get more for this podcast as well. Candy Jar Books would be another example of the friendships that we've developed with them and with Andy Franco Malum over the years. It's just been that's been the thing that I've been encouraged most about doing this, is the connections we've made, the friendships that we have, and it's been really great to be able to do that. So I cherish that most of anything that we do, is the friendships and the connections that we've made with people.
and always, we joke about, friend of the show, but you're all friends of the show.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's the way it is. If
The
you're
true friends of the show.
true friends of the show.
Well, the true friends are the ones that give us the money, but you're a friend of the show if you're listening. I'm just kidding.
If you're ever in the neighborhood of the Traveling Vortex Studios, call ahead, and we've got a place on the
Sean's
couch
got
for
2
you.
couches for you.
Yeah.
You're welcome to come and bunk at my place, and we've got spaghetti we can heat up in the microwave. So,
SpaghettiOs.
sometimes. Right now, I've got actual spaghetti. So,
All right, do you want to talk about the final gifts that we have for patron subscribers? These we're excited about.
We're so excited about this. Thank you goes out to Lisa and Kieran at Time Eddy 3. We have, are you ready for this? A pair of 3-day passes to Time Eddy, which is coming up in 3 weeks? 3 weeks,
isn't it?
3 weeks in October.
20th, 21st, and 22nd.
19th.
No, 20th.
21st,
I took
22nd.
the 20th to the 22nd off. I hope it's right.
Glenn will be there on the 20th to the 21st to the 22nd. So we have a pair of tickets, 3-day passes, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, to come down and go to Time Eddy. And you get in, and you get to see Ian.
William
Russell. I wanted to call him Chesterton.
William Russell.
William Russell's going to be there. Sylvester McCoy is going to be there. Who else?
Katie
Andrew
Manning.
Cartmell.
You do the list. Andrew Cartmell's going to be there.
Katie Manning. Matthew Waterhouse.
Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts will be there. Lots of guests there. Can't think of any off. I did a bunch. So
Timey-wimey Puppet Show is
going to be there. A lot of great stuff.
All the stuff that we've been telling you for the last 2 years that they've been doing this con and how much we enjoyed it, and it's just down the road from us, is available for you. Because we always tell you should go online and buy your pass. Well, now you don't even have to, because you can get them from us. Now, here's what I would suggest. Since we said we're going to leave this open for a full week, I would say that these passes maybe go to the largest supporter.
I think so.
Yeah.
You know, that way it's kind of a contest environment. You don't have to feel like, you know, it's like a blind raffle.
Yeah.
You know.
No, absolutely. I think so.
That's how I would recommend it.
Yeah. No, I think that's definitely what we should do. So.
Yeah.
So we have, again, 2 passes for all 3 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday at Time 83. And we cannot thank them over there enough for their support of us in being able to offer that up.
Yeah, that's a huge get for us to be able to do something like that. And again, we want to thank Time Eddie for providing that for us, because that's wonderful. That's one of the big ways they have supported us in this podcast, is by doing something like that. And we continue to support them because of that. So
Absolutely.
Again, if you're in the Wichita area and you don't happen to get these passes, make sure you check out Time Eddie 3, which is going on at it's the Drury
Hotel downtown.
in Old Town, downtown Wichita.
Yes.
And it is October 20th, 21st, and 22nd. And again, Katie Manning, Matthew Waterhouse, Eric Roberts, Sylvester McCoy,
Dominic Glenn
will be there. He's going to be doing his concert again this year, which was really cool last year. Tommy Wymie will be there. All right, I've got comments. I'll get to them. Hang on.
No, I was just trying to make sure
here, give that to Keith.
I'm making sure I'm in frame.
That. So now that may run dead too, but at least we won't go off the air with that one. Just won't be able to see comments. But Chrissy, by the way, pointed out we're no longer Mirror Universe. I think it was Chrissy.
We're no longer mirrored.
We're on opposite sides now too, because you guys are on that. You guys are over here.
This is why I have to sit in the middle. Because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm right.
That's right.
So
I guess that's the difference between a PC and an Android.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Did you get out of the comments? I had them up there for you.
Yeah, I'm scrolling through them.
He's trying to figure out.
Let's read out a few more comments before we close the show.
Lisa says 19 days until Time Eddie.
19 days. So that's a little more than 2 weeks.
Yep.
Yes. And she says you're welcome.
Thank you. Again.
Rachel says we need to have a Traveling the Vortex 5-ish fangirls meet up at Time Eddie one of these years.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe we should shoot for that next year.
Why not this year, Rachel?
94. Well, yeah.
Rachel says she wishes she could go, and Brittany says if only I didn't have to work the weekends. Chrissy just gave a shocked face. The prize.
Now,
prize. Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
Brittany, I've got a solution for you. Okay, are you ready for this?
You have to clear your throat for this? It's supposed to be a big one.
No. That's
that was it.
That's how she gets out of work in the weekend.
Oh, you're doing the all right. See, I didn't get that from that. That was more visual.
I can't be too specific. Her boss might be watching.
Up to your own imagination.
Yeah. You fill in the blank here.
She's got Eddie-itis.
She says but she needs the money.
She's caught in a time eddy.
She's caught in a time eddy. There you go.
That's how you call it. I'm caught in a time eddy. I can't make it to work. That's a legit thing, right?
I think so. I think my boss would buy it, I'm sure.
That's it?
That's it. Well, we're going to close the show out, guys. And again, thank you very much. One last time, please consider supporting us on Patreon. You go to www.travelingthevortex.com. On the right-hand side of the page, there is that button to become a patron. Click on that. It takes you to Patreon. And there you can either change your support that you're sending to us now or add to that. Or you can also become a patron by subscribing. We have a lot of great gifts that are going to be going out to people that do make pledges this week, over the next week. And then we've got the Doctor Who annual. We've got the comic books. We've got the cards. We've got the 2 novelizations of The Visitation.
In case you want to read it more than once.
Yes. And then I think that was it. And then, of course, the big grand prize for the top supporters, the ones that pledged the most this week. Is that the way we decided, right?
Yes.
The top 2 that pledged the most this week will get the... Or is it the one person that gets the 2 passes?
I suppose that's the next... Should we split it up?
I don't know if we should, because somebody
I wouldn't think
take
so.
it first. Let's not split them up, because I mean 2 people.
You and a guest.
You and a guest to Time Eddie for the top supporter that pledges this week. So
yes,
that it.
Or raises their
pledge. Yeah, absolutely. So
again, if you're already in, we appreciate that so much and thank you.
Absolutely.
And if we're just going to take cumulative what the top of the week either increase or new pledge.
Right.
And I suppose we should throw this out there. Now, we've talked a lot about, the monthly. You can make a one-time pledge through Patreon.
You can.
Yeah.
And while the monthly pledges are fantastic and appreciated and wonderful because they sustain us through, we let that build up to pay for the servers and all that kind of stuff. If you want to drop a one-time pledge on us, we are not going to complain about that at all.
Not at all.
So,
in effect, I think you go about that. I think you do have to set up the recurring, but I think all you have to do is do the one-time pledge and then drop the recurring. Is basically what you do,
right?
And that money still goes to us. I mean, it doesn't come away once you stop the recurring. We get that one-time pledge from you as well, and so it works out as well. So yeah,
or you could forget.
Yeah, if you can't set it up on a rotating basis, and you have that one time. Say you want to give $5 this month, and you say, well, I want to give you something. So you pledge the $5, and then you come off the. Now you have to. I should say the caveat to that is you have to remain a Patreon subscriber to continue to get access to new material that comes out on Patreon.
Yes.
So what we do is we change that password every so often. So you have to be a continuing member in order to get the new password. So let's say you
for that
pledged,
digital content that's online.
But let's say you pledged this month and you just wanted to do one time, and we changed the password at the end of the month. You'll get that password and still have access to that content until we change the password again. So you're not gonna pledge now and then we change the password on you. You don't get the exclusive online content. That's not going to go away from you. You'll still have access to that for a while, even if you've stopped the continuing pledging. Obviously, until later down the road when we restart that, and you have to become a pledge member in order to do that again. But none of that's going to get taken away from you for just doing that one-time pledge.
We forgot a prize.
We did. What did we forget? Oh, that's right. We have T-shirts to give away. That's absolutely right. We wore them to kind of model. This is our podcast T-shirt. That will be some of the prizes that go out for those that pledge. That's our model, Sean. And also make sure you come out and see us at Time Eddie. We do have another quiz show planned this year, and you can win prizes there as well. So if you're
it's scheduled. I don't know about planned.
Well, it's just scheduled. Yeah. Well,
it's on the schedule.
Don't make Lisa worry. We will have it ready to go. At the very least, we will have it ready to go. So.
Might be Sean and his tap dancing bears. We're not really sure this week.
All right. Is there anything else we need to touch on before we close this one out?
Shall we discuss what's coming up on the schedule?
Yeah, let's talk about what's coming up on the schedule.
I don't know what's coming up on the schedule.
Well, in 2 weeks, we're going to be in Time Eddie.
In 19 days.
Do we know if BritBox is?
It has.
It has dropped.
It dropped today.
Yay!
Thank the Lord. Okay, so coming up on the schedule, I can do it now. Our Friday night Who selection. Once again, if you don't join in, you please join in because we have a lot of fun. Every Friday night at 10:30, we watch a Doctor Who episode every week, and we tweet along. And so it's kind of like this. It's a global community thing where you can talk to people, and we do it through Twitter. Just hashtag Friday Night Who, and then hashtag whatever the episode is. This week will be The Crotons with a K. With
Patrick Troughton.
Thank you. I couldn't. His name just flew right away from me there. Second Doctor Patrick Troughton. And the reason we're going to do the Crotons this week is to kind of just refresh our memories on how awesome Patrick Troughton is, because our show next week, now that it's dropped officially on BritBox,
we've had to switch this around once.
We're going to do the Wheel in Space recon.
Yeah,
I wanted to say retcon there for a minute. It's like that's not it.
Recon.
The reconstruction that BritBox has done. So it's Wheel in Space, and it's been available as a retcon before, a recon.
Loose Cannons and I think another group have done reconstructions of a lot of these episodes. And Wheel in Space is one of those. And so they have partnered, actually BritBox has partnered with them in order to help them with a reconstruction that is now dropping on BritBox. So you'll be able to at least get some visualization of the story. It's done usually with telesnaps, meaning there's not a lot of moving pictures, but any of the available video that does exist will be intertwined with it, and but it'll be telesnaps to tell a story. Now the entire audio soundtrack is there. So in fact, we luckily had fans back in the day that were recording those on. And they've been remastered, and the audio is there. And if you've ever seen some of these, they really work well. in order to kind of give you a better representation of the story. But this will be one of our Lost in Time episodes that we're going to review.
So consequently, we'll also be covering the book, which is the novelization of The Wheel in Space.
Right.
Which
So
I
that
think
we
we've
can
all
kinda
finished
compare
now,
them.
right? You haven't finished
I haven't finished it yet. I've been reading Lucy Wilson. So
That's right. Catch up there.
behind. But that is the show for next week. And then the following week, we will be at Time Eddy.
Yeah.
So hopefully you will be too. And we will see you there, and we can have a wonderful reunion and or meet for the first time, which is how we met Chrissy.
Yeah.
Was
absolutely.
at a galley. So
Well, we met her for the first time there, yes, yeah. We met her online, but we met her in person there first time.
I was going to say, we never met Chrissy at Time Eddy.
The
no,
first
that's
time,
why I said at galley.
I guess I'm thinking the first time we saw Chrissy was when you accused her of throwing her underwear across the room.
She
In a
totally
video,
threw
in
her
a video
underwear
she
across the room.
made for us.
Did you tell Jared about that, by the way? Does Jared know that there's video evidence of you tossing your underwear? Did you hide that from
I'm
your
sorry
new
I
husband?
brought it up, Chrissy. I am so sorry. Is that not? Is that all?
You
we
should
do?
be a true friend of the show, because then you get this kind of treatment. Our number one fan.
Is that all we have for this week?
That's it.
All right.
That's everything.
Until next week, I'm Glenn.
I'm Sean.
I'm Keith.
Cheers.
Good night, everybody.
Be seeing you.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
listening.
You have been listening to Traveling the Vortex. Doctor Who and all of its associated programs are owned and trademarked by the BBC. No infringement is intended or implied.